Hi, it's Steffi from Steffi's Beads and Baubles, and I've been trying to get this llama tutorial done all week. And the first video was literally an hour and 20 odd minutes. I just tried to put too much information in it. I got partially through the editing and realized that wasn't going to work. So the next day I sat down and did one and was out of frame the entire time. I really don't know what happened. The only thing I can tell you is I babysit my granddaughter, and she's almost 2, and she's been really cranky this week. We think she's either going through a growth spurt or doing some kind of teething, but when she leaves every day, I'm pretty beat, and I've been coming in and trying to record after she leaves, and I just can't do that anymore. I either have to record when my husband's off and he can take her, or on the weekends. And this week it didn't work, him trying to take her. She just screamed the whole time because she wanted me. So it was just a tough week, but I'm going to try again, and let's see if this third time's a charm. This is the little llama that I showed you in the last video, and most of it's pretty basic. The edging, filling in the seed beads, it's the stuff I do on my ornaments all the time. Even the loop is pretty simple. It's just using a different element. Now I wanted to tell you that Beebeecrafts gave me the bugle beads and the little clear bead I'm going to use in this video, along with, let me find it. I had it on the table to show you, and now it's missing. They gave me, well, I'll show you the clasp. This beautiful clasp. It's magnetic, and they have a big selection of really amazing, oh, here it is. Really amazing clasp. I'm not sure if this one's still available. I think they get a lot of stuff in and out, but there's equally beautiful, some that are even more beautiful than this, and their prices are pretty darn good too. But they donated these things to me with just the simple request that I use them in a few videos. So this is one of the videos that I want to show you, and I used their bugle beads, except for the pink. The pink, they did not have a pink in the box I bought. And so I had to use a vintage pink. But I used their orange, their green, their yellow, and I used them all through here. And then, like I said, I used their little bugle beads to do the clasp, the loop. And I also used their bugle beads to do the little hoofs too. So let's get started. So the materials I used was a llama cookie cutter, and this one is available on Amazon or eBay. I can't remember which one, but you can get all kinds of really cute llamas. And the only thing I did different is when I stamped it out, I then cut it around to elongate the mouth a little bit. And if you've never watched one of my videos, basically I take my cookie cutter, I take a stamp, I ink up the cookie cutter, and then I stamp it onto a piece of felt like this, and then I cut it out. And then you cut out 2 for each ornament because you're going to want a front and a back. And the original one, I believe, was made with the wool felt my friend Bev sent me. It's a gorgeous wool felt. I think this is what I used here. And you can use wool felt. You can use any felt you want. Look for the best quality felt you can get. Some of the cheaper felts in the past have been very porous, but I address that when I do the video. Then for the accent pieces, the blanket, I just use scrap. I don't know about you, but if you work with felt, you'll understand. I have lots of different scraps, and I have a drawer over there that I just have full of scraps. It's all scraps, different sizes, some big, some little tiny. And I found the colors I needed, and I cut out the blanket. Now you might ask, why did you pick these colors if they weren't all in the ones from your bead store, from Beebeecrafts? Well, there's a reason. I wanted tassels. The only tassels I could find were these at Hobby Lobby. I couldn't find, and these were even a little big. I couldn't find anything remotely the size I needed, so I had to use these 4 colors: pink, green, orange, and yellow. Well, unfortunately, I ordered the beads before I knew I was going to be buying these. So they do have other color combinations, and let me tell you, these boxes, I was pretty impressed. They are big. They're good size. They're full, and there's 8 different beads in here. So you figure if you went to Hobby Lobby or anywhere that sells a tube of bugle beads, you're going to pay, even on sale, $1.50 for each of these. And so you're talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bucks, even on sale. I think I paid somewhere between 6 and 7 for this whole full container. Well, I didn't pay, they donated, but that's what you would pay to get this. And, you know, look at it, when I put it upside down, it's pretty full. I mean, when you open it up, it's full. I mean, there's a lot of beads in here. And there's a gorgeous, kind of a greenish blue. I used it more as green, and it looked perfect on the green. Black and clear, which is classic. An orange, kind of a reddish orange, regular orange, yellow. A beautiful kind of cobalt blue, and then I love this frosted. I have some vintage beads that look very close to this in a pink and a blue. So those were gorgeous. And then these, I was sad I could only use one, but again, I didn't have all the colors. I had the orange and I had a green, but I didn't want to alternate just orange and green when I needed yellow and pink as well. So I decided I would just use the clear in this project, but I will be doing another project where I'll incorporate the small little bugle beads in. Plus they sent me some gorgeous wire, 12 beautiful colors of wire. I'll leave that open, to use in a project as well. And if you've been watching me a while, you'll remember a while back in a Hobby Lobby haul, I got some neat little tools to use wire with. So I figured that would be the perfect thing to use the wire in. So anyway, so you've got the cookie cutter and the felt, and for this project, the tassels. Now, if you know how to make tassels out of, you know, what is it, this stuff called embroidery floss, then you're a step ahead. Then you can make whatever color you want. And had I had more time, I might have tried to do that, because I have an absolutely huge bucket of, well, not huge, but it's a good-sized bucket of embroidery floss. More than I'll probably ever use in my whole life. But I use these colored threads here. Let me show you. But that said, I'm only going to use white in the video because not everybody's got the colors. Now, to buy these spools, and they're nice size spools, you get like 12 of them on Amazon for, I think, 15 bucks. And if you buy the three tube, which is 36, I think it's like 40. And when I bought it 3 or 4 years ago, it was only 36. Gone up a little bit as things do, but that includes shipping. So, or at least it did back in the day. So it's a lot of thread. You get some duplicates, but several shades. I got the yellow and orange, which I could never find in any other beading thread. Lots of pinks and greens and blues, some, you know, whites and blacks and neutrals. So it's a really good deal. But don't do that till you're sure this is what you're going to do. For now, just a nice white beading thread, however you can get it. If you can get it on a spool, if you can get it in a little spool. The craft stores often have what they, some kind of beading thread. I know Hobby Lobby has like a little white thread. They don't call it beading thread. They call it something else, but I think it would work. You can use regular thread. You can use embroidery floss. The only reason I recommend this is because it's so strong, and with the amount of work you're going to put into an ornament, you just want it sturdy, because the beading thread will not deteriorate on you. I've hung these in car windows, you know, on the mirrors. Over the years, the sequins will fade and get ugly, but they don't fall off because that thread holds on. So that's the only reason I recommend beading thread. But to get started, use what you got. Use whatever thread you've got before you buy anything. See how you like it. You can pick up sequins at Hobby Lobby on half price if you have a coupon. They don't usually put them on sale, but you can get them for like 40% off at Michael's too. Go for a couple days in a row and pick up, if you have one nearby, and go buy one bag of this color. Or have a friend or two come with you and each of them buy you a bag. Get your beginning materials as cheap as you can. And then once you have your base materials and you try it a few times, if it's then something you're passionate about like I am, then you can go to Cartwright's, or you can go, you know, wherever you want to go online, buy vintage, used, or not used, but vintage or new or whatever. And then you can build your stockpile of sequins. I have one of those really wide drawers. It's right over here. Let me see if I can show you. Let me turn the camera around. See the pink drawer? I think I showed it to you in one of my videos. See the pink drawer? That is all sequins. All 3 drawers are stuffed full of bags of sequins. But I've been doing this for 30 years. So just, you know, a day at a time. Build it the way that's best for you. There's no race. You can do a lot of ornaments with just maybe 5 to 10 basic colors. A white, a red, a green, a gold, a silver, a black, and then you can add on from there. So anyway, this guy is pretty easy. A lot of people think he look complicated, but let me tell you, he's not. This is the one I started for the other video, and I'm going to show you the difference between colored thread and white thread. I did the yellow, let me get it in frame, did the yellow with yellow thread. I did the pink with white thread. See if the camera will show that. And from the side, yeah, maybe you can tell the difference, but from the front, you really can't. So no need to really work hard to get all the colored threads right away. White thread works great. And if you want to buy a big thing of white thread, you can go online and buy these big ones. For, I think it's like with shipping included or less plus shipping. Either way, it's right around 30. And let me tell you, I've had one of these. This one I bought when I first started, and it 30-something years ago, and I still have that much thread on it. So this is a different size than that one. And they sell them in every color. Greens, reds, browns, blues. So that's a good way if you want to just do white. Get a big white one when you're ready, and you'll have white literally for the next 30 years. I buy size D, but you can use any size for these ornaments. If you're going to do other bead work, then a smaller size might work. You're also going to need sequins. Now for the body of the llama, I just used a white that I had laying around. You can use any white. This has kind of got a shimmer to it. It's a vintage sequin I bought years ago, and I'm almost out of it, so I'm very sad. But any white will do, or even a clear. You could use a clear with white felt, but I think a white gives it a little more depth. So white sequin. Then you're going to need a small bugle bead. And let me see what size these are. Let me put it on my, I think they're 1/4 inch. Let me see. Yeah, these are about a 1/4 inch long bugle beads to do the saddle. Now, if you don't want to buy these, but you have seed beads, you can just do, to make it look different, you could do a sideways row where you just line up the seed beads and go across, and then do the individuals underneath. So you don't have to do bugle beads. You could just pull your thread up, put 3 or 4, however many seed beads, and then go back down, then come back and go through it to strengthen it, to give yourself that bar look if you like that. Or you could just do what I did here, just the whole way. Like I said, these ornaments are individual. There's no two alike. You don't have to do it the way I did it. Use the materials you have until you're sure what you want to do, and then you can start adding them. Now for the tassels, I was really excited when I brought them home because I didn't know how they were going to work. And I found out I could cut the thread off right here. And then I found out they opened up. Let's see. They were just rolled. And then this black thread is in there. But you can just, it really won't show, to be honest. It'll be rolled up and tucked under the felt. But then what I did is I just cut it in half. I figured out where halfway through was and just cut them in half because it was too thick to do the whole thing. Okay, hold on one second. I'll be right back. Sorry, my son was on the front porch swing, and every time he hit the little potted plant behind it would hit the wall and shake my whole studio. I don't know if you heard it or not. So anyway, but if you can do this yourself, if you know how to take the embroidery floss and make your own little ones, which I know is not hard. I could do it myself if I wanted to. Then do that, and then you're not limited to the colors of the tassel you buy. But I did buy these at Hobby Lobby. I bought them in their scrapbooking area where they have the flowers and all the charms and stuff. And I don't know if it was 50% off that day or if I used a coupon. But it was either 40% or 50% off that $4.99. So anyway, and then I just cut the little strips out of my felt scraps and sewed them on. And how I did it was I just took my thread and I used bead needles, And this is one thing you really do need to do if you're going to be working with seed beads, because sometimes sewing needles are so fat, even the smallest ones, the eyes will not fit through your seed beads. And there's nothing more frustrating than to get it halfway on your needle, then have to get it off. So just invest in the beading needles, and I'm pretty sure you can find these at the hobby store as well. They're not terribly expensive. I usually buy 25 count bags or packages for a few bucks. But you can buy them, I think, at the store, 3 or 4 of them for a couple bucks. And use that 50% or 40% off coupon. And then I'll pick the color I want. So since we're doing yellow, I'll pick out a few yellow bugles. And then I got some yellow seed beads. Now again, you don't have to use yellow. You could use clear. So what we'll do on this one is I'll do a row of yellow, and then I'll do a row of clear to show you the difference. So that way, you know, if you can get yellow at Hobby Lobby, I'm pretty sure, in their little tubes like this for $1.50. But again, if you just want to start slow and buy a few things and see if you even like doing this, just get a little clear. And now you have to use the yellow for the stripes, though. It might not show up. But like I said, if you're just going to do bugle beads or something like that, it's just giving you options. You could probably do the clears, but they might not show up. But then, if not, use white or black or any other color you have. But I just wanted to show you that there's other things you can do. So what I do, whenever I sew with felt, I go up through. Now I've got trying to lay this as close to the edge as possible, because you got to fit 4 on the little back. And I didn't arch it, I just cut it straight. It'll be fine when you sew it together. Then I go up through the felt like this, and then I go back down. It doesn't matter where you do it, nobody will see it. You just want to secure that felt secure that thread into the felt. Then you come back up where you want to be, which is really close to the edge. There, that time you can be on the edge. Okay? Then you're going to take your bugle bead and you're going to put it on your needle, and you're going to pull it down and let it kind of stand there. And then what I do is I take the needle and go to the very edge, because one of the things I make sure I do that I forgot to tell you is when I cut the felt, I try to make it just barely wider than the bugle bead, so that when the bugle bead lays down on there, it's a perfect fit, see? And then I come up, and if you have to go up through the other side and back around, sometimes you have to do it, but if you don't have to, don't. But sometimes I'll secure the first one more than once. But sometimes it lays perfectly flat the first time. Then I take and I come back up to the fabric, I grab one seed bead, and then I go right back through, right next to where I came up the last time. And then it puts your seed bead. Then I try to do one right about in the middle. And let me tell you, you're not going to be perfect. If you are, good for you. I'm not, though. I'm not. And then you go back next to it. I try to keep it pretty close to the bugle bead. And then there's that one. Then you come up for the third one. Now, do you have to do 3? You can do 4. You can do 2. Whatever you want. I did 3 because it seemed to fit nicely. 3 seemed to fit really nice. Like that. Then you're going to you can come right back up the side you just went out, so you don't waste as much thread. Come up, which I don't think I did on this one, did I? Yeah, I normally do, but I don't think I did when I came out the bugle bead. I think I went over. But if you don't want to waste thread, just come up right below where you came out the last time. Then you're going to put another bugle bead on there. And you're going to go all the way back down to the other end. The best way to do it is, let me show you the best way to do it. You get a little bit more casual when you've been doing it a while, but really for a while it's best, even I should be doing it like this. Get it to stand upright, and then you can kind of, if you're unsure, you can take the thread and hold it down like that. See? And then you can go in right next to it. If you're totally a little worried about it, then you can do that. See? And then the side I came out is where I'm going to come back up. There. And you can rearrange this a little bit. These will slide back and forth just slightly if they don't look perfect. But you know what? I wasn't trying to be perfect, and when you look at it as a whole, it'll be fine. So then you're going to do another round of seed beads. I'll do one more to show you, and then I'll turn off the camera till I do the last couple rows, and then I'll come back. And again, you're just going to go back through and just secure that sequin on. Come up through the middle like that. And then let that seed bead drop down, and I try to go up as close to the bugle as I can and pull it like that. See? And then one last one right on the end. And don't worry if they're not perfect. None of mine are, trust me. And then you're going to go back through, and I just have it on the needle. I didn't even pull it all the way on. And then, and see, they won't always be perfect. But then when you put the next bugle bead on, you can kind of push them up where they need to go. Okay. See what I mean? You get kind of, oh, it's no big deal, and you'll just start doing it. Now see, now this one, I think what happened is I came over too far, so that's fine. So what you are going to waste a little thread when that happens, go back to the other side, come over a little bit further, and then go back through that bugle bead, because it's trying to push up on one side. And then go back down. And it can be right on the edge of the yellow. It's fine. Let's see if that got it to lay straight. Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, good enough. You're going to have some that fight with you a little bit. But it's fine, because once I put the next bead on. Now, I did a total of, let's see, I'm going to look at the other one that I did, because with the beaded edge it's hard to see. Where's the one I just showed you? Okay, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total rows. I started with a bugle and ended with a bugle. And then we're going to put the flower on. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me take a minute to put the other 3 rows on, then I'll be back and we'll do the tassel. So I'll be right back. Okay. I've got, and it's not always going to be the same amount every time. You just got to make sure you leave enough to put the tassel under. So I'm going to take the yellow, which I don't know why I cut the green when I was showing you. That was kind of silly. So let's do the yellow this time. I should have done the yellow. But let's cut this open. And then I just opened it up. And you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. It's really trying to roll. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I cut right through the middle of that 5th one. Or the middle one. And I just cut through that. And you might have some of it fall apart, but that's okay. Like I said, I don't care if the black thread's in there because you won't see it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that tassel and I'm going to tuck it up under here. Now, what I use for this is a flower. But if you don't have a flower, which I would use a yellow, let me find a yellow flower in here. What I used was one of these yellow flowers. And these I bought at Cartwright's. And I buy them in a bag. How do I have it out here? I don't know if I do. But in my blog post, I did a blog post on this ornament, and I put all the information in there. Should have been out here. I don't know. I'm telling you, I was so tired this week trying to do these tutorials that... And then the baby was in here yesterday, so she might... Oh, here it is. She was kind of grabbing stuff off the table. This is what the bag looks like. And these are Crystal Iris Cupped Flowers 6mm. And I think they're like $1.75, and you get 525 of them. But let's say you don't have these right now. You don't want to wait to order them. You just want to use what you have. Since I've already showed you a flower on the sample, I'll show you how you can just take a sequin. So just say I bought this bag of mixed sequins at Cartwright's too, and they do have a yellow in here. So let me pull a yellow sequin out. And you could use any color, but here's a yellow sequin right here. And you can just use that. You don't have to use a flower. So what you're going to do, whatever you decide to use, and it could just be a bead. If you don't have a yellow sequin of any kind, but you want it to match, but you do have yellow seed beads, because I know you can get those at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to come up through that tassel. I put it underneath the felt, and I came up from the back, and I'm going to go back down. You're going to hear a cat yelling. There's nothing I can do about him. He's a rescue cat we got, and he's just very damaged. We don't know what happened to him, but he kind of adopted us on our porch. And he's very needy sometimes, and our son's outside helping his dad in our yard, so he's not very happy. Okay, so I'm going to take just a regular sequin, and and I tell you this every tutorial, but I'm going to tell you again. Hold on. I use cupped. I very, very rarely use a flat sequin. When you use a cupped sequin, they're like this. They're cupped. So what I want it to do is have the cup up. So I pick it up, cup down. So that way, when I put it on the piece, the cup is up. Do you see that? Now, the way you hold that on is you get a seed bead. And then you go back down through the sequin, but do not go back through the seed bead, because that little seed bead's going to hold your sequin on. And see, there it is with a sequin, a plain sequin. You really, is the flower cute? Yeah, but you don't need it. You don't need it. I've lost my mind and bought every sequin I can get my hands on, but I didn't at first. I'd say the first 10 years I did ornaments, I had a very limited, we didn't have online 30 years ago. So whatever I could find in the store, and it was one of those plastic divided containers that holds 20 items. I had 20 sequins, I think, in there. And I had like clear and black, and I don't even know if I had 20. I had like metallic blue, metallic pink, and gold and silver. And I think I was lucky enough to get a few orange one time, and I had red and green, and that was it for most of the year. And then I found a clear that I've showed you in another video that I bought. I had the foresight to buy like 5 or 6 of them back in the day, and I still have most of them. And they're a sheer, they're variegated though, like they're not all perfectly clear. Some have a little opaque to them, but they're still clear. And I've been using those for 30 years, and I love those sequins. But now you'll see on here, it's slightly curved in. And on this one, it's a little more front, you know. But that's okay. You know, it's a handmade piece. If you get done like I just did and realize that you did an oopsie, just adjust the other one slightly. You know, you don't have to tear it out, but if it bothers you, you can. But if that happens, just, you know, adjust the other pieces when you put them on, you know, when you put the other 3 on, just kind of maybe try to fix it. Or it might just be a blanket that's kind of backwards. Maybe only put 3 on there. You don't have to have 4. So you can fix your error. This only happened because I wasn't paying attention while I did the tutorial. If I'd been doing it on my own, I probably would have paid a little bit better attention. But you're going to do the same thing with all your colors. And I don't sew them together. They're just right next to each other. And they're not attached. They're separate. All 4 of them are separate. Okay? So once you get the blanket done, the next thing you're going to do is a little bridle. Now, on this one I showed you, this was one of the tutorials I was doing. I wanted to show you several things you could do. If you don't have a lot of flowers, or you don't have a lot of colorful sequins, you can use a seed bead in between the bugle beads. Here are the little tiny flowers. If you don't have those, you can use your sequins instead. I just wanted to show you some other ways you can do this. I won't do that on this one. I'm going to do this part and show you how to go over, but it's really very organic however you do it. But I want to do the eye, and to do the eye I've got to show you this part of the little bridle. So So I'll show you this, the eye, and the flower, and then the rest of it is just filling in, and then I'll show you how I did the little hooves on the feet, and the rest is just filling it in. Once I show you how to put the eye on, it's the same as doing the regular beads. So let's get started, and I'm just going to cut this. I could tie this off. This is how I tie off my threads when I'm doing this. And like I said, if you've been following me a long time, most of this is going to bore you. You know this, the routine. But basically, I go to the back, and now if I was going to keep doing the blankets, honestly, I'd probably still cut it off because I want to start at the top. So I would come back here, and I'd go through and remember, no one will see this because you're going to cover the whole front of this with sequins. So you're just going to go make a little rounds around one direction. I do 3, maybe 4 this direction, and then I'll do a couple this direction, pulling them pretty tight, going back around through the same spot, pulling it nice and tight. I mean, I don't pull it so tight I damage it, but I mean, I just pull it securely. You just have to pull it till it stops and it's pretty secure. And then I tie it off. I cut it off. And I tell everybody in every video, you can always put a dab of glue on there before you stitch it together if you want. But in the 30 years I've been making ornaments, if I've done that, or you can tie a knot too, but I've never had one unravel. That's never happened. Now, since I went ahead and accidentally pulled the needle off, I'll just go ahead and get a better piece of thread, because that one's kind of small. And this is a spool of thread I've had probably over 20 years. Okay, hold on, let me get this needle on. This I have to do off the camera because I have to get it right in my face. My hands are bothering me really bad today. We ate a little bit of sodium yesterday. I try to stay away from sodium because it really bothers my hands. And we had Jack in the Box tacos last night for a snack. And they're so good, but they're so salty. I could feel it in my hands. So I kind of have to shake them out from time to time. 'Cause I just don't eat salt at home that much. So when I eat it out, it really bothers me. So, but sometimes you just got to have the salt, you know. Jack in the Box tacos are not for everybody, but we love them. We have them okay. When you tie it too short, it makes it really hard to tie the knot. So at that point, I'll just start over. Put it further from the... Oh, guess what? It went right into the knot. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I was just going to start over with a different knot, but it decided to cooperate. Okay, so I got a good size knot on there. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. I like to put a good size knot. It's fully threaded, and I don't have lengths of thread for you because I'll be honest, I just cut a big piece of thread, and if there's enough left over to reuse, I hang on to it and reuse it. So what I do, and by the way, if you don't like the ink on here, which should be hidden by any beads and sequins, if you, the day before you're going to stitch on it, if you just gently put it under water, and you don't want to rub felt because felt is not, and if it's wool felt, please don't use hot water, you will shrink it. Just kind of do this under the water, and it should make all that go away, or at least fade it. But I've never had it show through, so I think you'll be okay. But I'm going to put the bridle on first, so I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to put it in the corner of his mouth. And again, as I always do when I start, in, back through, and then back up, because I don't want it pulling through. Felt is extremely porous, and when you hold it up to the light, I don't know if this will show or not, but a lot of times when you hold, this one's actually a pretty decent piece, but some of your felts, like this one's a little more porous. You can see lots of light through it. And then there's darker areas. Well, wherever the light's coming through, sometimes it's very thin, and the thread will pull right out. So that's why I always go back through it once. If it's a really porous felt, I might even do it twice, just to keep that knot from coming out. And then you're going to decide. Now I'm just going to go ahead and use the flowers. And on the bridle, I used the bigger ones here. I don't know why. I used little ones for this, and then I think I did it so everything would fit in that small area. So I'll get one of the big flowers, and this is the fun part. You can do whatever color you want. I don't even worry about matching the saddle for this. So, and then you can mix and match the seed beads too. So I'm going to do like an orange and blue for the first one, and I just pull it down onto the, so I got my sequin cup up, and then I'm going to go back through just the sequin and leaving the seed bead alone, because that little seed bead is going to hold that flower on. Now I'm going to come up right next to it, and I'm going to put on any color of bugle bead I want. So then the bugle beads I do match. I did match the saddle, but I guess you don't have to if the flowers don't. So I could actually use any color that I have in my little box, but I'll use an orange. I'll use the orange. And then you're going to put that bugle bead on your needle, pull it down, and then kind of lay it toward up. And I just kind of lay it down and figure out where it's going to come to, and then I lay it in like that. And the reason I think I used the big flowers is I wanted it to fit, because the little flowers, there would have been too much space. So for the other flower, we'll do a bright pink, got like a fuchsia pink over here, and I'll use a green seed bead. And so I got those on my needle, see? And keep an eye on your tail. Make sure you pull your tail so you do not have the thread come off your needle, because that's so frustrating. And then there's that, and then I go back through just the sequin, remember, not the seed bead, because otherwise it'll come off. There you go. There's a little bridle. Now, normally I would start the bridle here and then zigzag across, but we'll go back to that. I wanted to get this on because I didn't want to do the eye until that was on, because the eye, in all the pictures of llamas I saw, the eye was right under the ears. So I wanted to put the eye on. So this is about where I put it on the last time. I just pick a spot, any spot you want. It really isn't that picky. And you come out. And the way I did the eye was I used the same white sequin I'm going to use for the body. And again, cup side down. I put it on the needle. But instead of a white seed bead, I'm going to use a black. Now I had a black sitting out here. Let me find it. I'm telling you, this was a brutal week for me. I had a hard time. Things are a mess. Now this is bigger than a normal seed bead. Let me show you one of the normal seed beads. I don't know what size that is, honestly. It's just a bigger, and that's old. I've had that a long time. But you can find these bigger ones, and you could really use any bead that's sort of flattish like that. And so after I got the sequin on, I put that black seed bead on and let it drop down, and then again just through the sequin right back where you came out at, pretty close, and then that gives you your little eye. And then what I do to bead the little guy, well, let's do the flower up here. And the flower, I did the flower right next to the eye, kind of right here, up here by the ear. And all I did was I come up here and I picked a flower. What color haven't I used? I haven't used an orange. Let's get an orange, if I can find an orange. So here's orange. And we'll do, what color did I do that one? I used a yellow. So I'll use a yellow seed bead in there. And that's the fun part, is you can mix and match these colors. That's what I love doing, stuff like this. So I've got the seed bead on the sequin, and again right back through the sequin alone, letting that seed bead hold the sequin on. So there's that. Now to do that actual beadwork, I start on the edge. So you can just go right from the flower to the edge. But I would do this first. And basically how I did this was simply from here I went down with a bugle bead, added a flower, then went down, added a flower, then went down, added a flower, went down, added a flower, and you can go at any angle. You can go shorter, tighter, and just keep adding the bugle beads and flowers. Now I used a smaller flower, but you could use the bigger ones would probably work better, because like they did on there, you can see that this is going to be a little bit, on this one, this is going to be a little bit hard to fill it in because the flower will not come to the end. So this part here you can do as loosely or as tightly. You can do just down and over one time. You can go back and forth 3 or 4 times. This is totally up to you. On this one, you can see it's not perfect. So, you know, if I had it to do over again, I probably would have gone over to here and then maybe over here and then over to there. But you know what? He looks cute and it's fine. There's no right or wrong. Just, you can use sequins or flower sequins, whatever you have, and just go back and forth. If you don't have bugle beads, you could do seed beads. And the way I'm talking about doing seed beads is, let me see if I have another needle and thread so I don't have to, sometimes I'll have a needle with thread on it. Let me see if I do. And of course I don't. But here, I'll just put a little piece of thread on to show you what I'm talking about. I'll do it on another, just do it on a piece of felt. I won't do it on the actual ornament, but I think it's important to show you this because if you're just starting out, there's nothing more frustrating than wanting to make something and you don't have the materials. And so I want to be able to give you options if you do. A lot of people have a ton of seed beads, but they might not have many bugle beads. So I want to show you a way you can do this with your seed beads. So let me show you real quick what I'm talking about. Now they do sell bugle beads at Hobby Lobby in those tubes. In fact, I think I have some. Let me get my bugle beads out. I can show you. See, I have a big box of bugle beads, but these are the ones I've gotten. I could have used these pink. I didn't even remember I had them. I could have used these pink for the llama. And that, I think I didn't because they were shorter is why I didn't. That's right. These are a little bit shorter. Now they have the twisted ones that are a little bit longer. Those would be very pretty too. And then they have the big tubes too sometimes in certain colors, sometimes in mixtures. So there's lots of bugle beads out there, and then I've gotten some, I got some clear. So there's lots of bugle beads out there, and I've gotten a lot of vintage ones over the years, and people have sent me some in trades, and so I've gotten some bugle beads over the years. I mean, I've been doing this 30 years, so I have a lot of bugle beads. But I didn't when I got started. When I got started, I didn't have any bugle beads. I just had seed beads. So I'm going to show you what you can do with seed beads. And we're just going to use this yellow felt, and I'll just use white seed beads. So when I'm telling you, you could make the stripe. What you would do is you would take and put some seed beads on to the length of the I'm picking up seed beads over here. I'll show you what I'm going to do when I get over there. But you pick up seed beads till it's the width you want it to be. So see the width, and then you're just going to hold the seed beads in place with your needle like that and go down. See? That looks just as pretty as a bugle bead. And then you could still come up and do a row underneath of the single beads. Like this. You could still do the single beads that I did, 3 of them underneath, and they would look just as pretty. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See? See what I'm saying? And you do the third one down here, especially if you alternated colors or something. And that's another option. If it's more comfortable for you, you could actually cut one piece of felt and do your stripes. Like just do the stripes with the beads instead of doing the different colors of felt. But that's another way to do it. You can just make a row of seed beads And you just basically put your needle through the felt. And I didn't do the double through and all that because it's just an example. But once you got your knot secured, just put on how many seed beads it takes, lay it flat, and then use your needle to hold it in place and go through. And it gives you a nice row. You could even do rows of the seed beads like that. You don't even have to do the single ones. You could just, if you have 3 or 4 or 5 colors you like, you could just put those colors and make a striped blanket. So lots of things you can do. This is just a suggestion, and then you can take my ideas and go from there. But basically what I do is I take this little guy and I'll just start putting the sequins on. And I have found over the years the best way to do this is to go the edge first. So you're going to pretend all this is done, and you're just going to start putting on your sequins on the edge, and just up, and leave enough room with your flower that you can go up under it, because that's what I did. And the bridle, you might not be able to put one where the bridle is. Let me look at the original and see if I did. Remember, I was learning as I did this, because a lot of this is new to me too. And I try to pull the sequin down when I'm doing it. I try to pull it down as close to the one below it or above it as I can. Sometimes it'll fight you. Sometimes it'll really fight you, and you have to really struggle to get that sequin in there. But just do the best you can. And you know, see, that one's not as close as I would have liked. But there's sometimes you just can't get it in there. But when you come through and do the edge on here, that will hide that. But try to get it closer. That one was just fighting me. And you know what you can do if that happens? What I'll do is I'll come back through. And if you can't fit another sequin in there, sometimes I'll just do this. I'll just take a seed bead and I'll go in between. Just try to get my needle in there. And I'll just add a seed bead in between to kind of hide the fact that there's no sequin there. But you're just going to keep going, and if you get your needle, you'll get to where you kind of know where it's the best place to put your needle to get the sequin where you want it. And again, just get your sequin cup up with the seed bead, and if you get that thread coming up, and you can go over the top too. You don't have to tuck it under. You can go over top too, and that's sometimes. But you're just going to keep going, and I don't know what they're doing out on the porch, but they're beating at something out there. Our poor front yard just overgrew us. What in the world are they doing out there? Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, they knocked down a hornet's nest and they were trying to get rid of the insects. I heard bam, bam, bam. I didn't know what the heck was going on. We have a big old wooden porch out there, so they were trying to keep from getting bit. We just have too many grandkids to have a hornet's nest up anywhere on our property. Anyway, sorry about that. It's been quite a day, but that's real life. This is what happens when I'm trying to work. Okay, so you're just going to keep going around this little guy. And it's going to be a little more difficult because you're going to have the, let's see, the little ears will just tend to be one sequin. And then you'll drop down to the middle like that. See? And you're going to do one more. I'm sorry my sequins are out of reach. I can't show you picking them up, but like I said, I tried this 2 times before and I've got a big mess on my table. Then you're going to do this little ear, this between the ears right here. I tend to tuck under, but you don't have to. You can tuck over, whatever's easiest. And then go up and do the other ear. See? come up. You're just going to keep doing this. Now when you get to where all the beadwork is, just work around it. What you're going to do is you're going to fill in every little area. Like I would fill in this whole area up here. So in other words, you can leave the mouth for later. And let's say this is going to go across right here. Then I would bead along this and around this and back up to here and then fill in his little head. Then this is real easy to go around and fill in. Then you can jump to here, and let's say it goes like this. You know, you got like that. You've got the little triangle there where the two, in other words, you've got a strip here and a strip here. You're going to fill in that little triangle all the way around the edge, then fill it in. And then you got one from there to there, same thing. Then the body will be a little easier because you'll have bigger areas. But the next thing I got to show you is how I did the little hooves. So let's do that next. Let me tie this off because I can't just throw these away or put them. I figured when my husband's in the hospital, I'll have 2 days that I'll be sitting in there, and he's probably not going to be much company because he's not going to be very happy. I would not imagine recovering from back surgery is very pleasant. Is it odd to be excited about a back surgery? I guess it's odd, but we are excited because he can't stand the way he's having to live right now. But I figured while I'm in the hospital for those 2 or 3 days, that would be a great time to bring a bunch of my unfinished ornaments, because every tutorial I do, I end up with different stages of unfinished work. So I have penguins and some of the stacked ornaments, stacked sequin ornaments. I think I have another polar bear to finish. I have a whole bunch. So I figure if I pack them up carefully, those would be great projects to work on in the hospital. So I'm going to see if I can find a little portable light, something on a little stand that's just battery operated, maybe chargeable. I'll look around and see. But the little hooves are fun because I don't know how bright a hospital room will be, and I don't want to bother him if he's sleeping. Now the bottoms of the feet are kind of round, and so if that bothers you, because you know when you do this you're going to have a little bit of room on the bottom. But let me show you, and on here you can see it. Now what I'm thinking of doing under here that I have not done yet is doing that row of seed beads that I just showed you how to do. Just come up from the back, tie a discreet knot, and then come up through here. And the way you continue it to do it long like that is you can go all the way across, come back through the back, and then come up. But what I do usually is I'll go through, and this is padded enough, because I do pad it as I sew it together, that I could do like as many as I'm comfortable doing, go back through the felt and kind of angle the needle to go back to the beginning, and then go back to the beginning, come through the ones you already strung, add a few more, go back through and go back a little bit again, and just keep doing that to get to the end. And I will do that on one of my videos. I'm not going to do it on this one because this one has been ridiculous with all the interruptions. But that's what you could do. But if that bothers you, all you have to do is you could just, after you sew on the feet, you could just cut it flat. You know, so there's just a tiny bit of room. You want enough room to stitch this on, but you could literally cut that round part off. And I think if I had it to do over again, I would have. Thought about doing it, but I didn't do it. So I think if I was to do that again, I would cut that little rounded. Now after you stitch this on, you could just lightly trim it, just barely trim it. You want to leave enough fabric on there that you can stitch your edging on, but not enough that you have this gap that now I'm going to have to fill in. Like I said, this guy was a learning experience for me. I visualized him. I knew what I wanted to do, but still doing him was a totally new challenge. Because remember, up until this channel, most of my ornaments were one color. I did angels or hearts, simple things, and I did them one color. I did not really do too many fancy things. So I'm learning this in front of you. All the ones I've done, the gingerbread, the polar bear, the penguin, I'd never done anything like that. I'd done the angels, the solid colored angels. I'll show you those. For those that are new to my channel, I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I'd never done any of these fancy things that I'm doing now. I had done these. Now this one's 2 colors, and that's wild for me. But I'd done these angels. And I have a different angel I do too that I've not done a video for you. And I usually do them all in 1 color. That's all I'd done for 20, 30 years is I'd done these solid colored angels. I might have done the wings a different color before, but I don't think so. I think they're usually all 1 color, and then I do the string. And I usually do both sides. This one I did not, because a lot of the people I make them from, they're all family members. They want to hang them in their car. So then I started doing the clasp, the magnetic clasps, so that they could put them over the rear view mirror. All of my children and my in-law children have one of these in their car. Our son, when he'd go to Iraq in the Army, he had me make him one without the loop that he could tuck in his rucksack and have with him when he was overseas. He still has it. So these are real special in our family. My husband has one. I have one. All of our kids and in-law kids have one. And my granddaughter's getting ready to learn to drive. She asked me to make her an angel and a pineapple. She wants to hang a pineapple with the angel. So you will be seeing a pineapple tutorial because we just ordered those cookie cutters. So up until I started my channel, I'd only done simple things. So I'm learning this stuff with you. I had done the Christmas trees though. I had done those. The green Christmas trees. I had not done the fancier Christmas trees. Like this was a new, I'd never done something like this before. I just done the green tree with different colored ornaments. Different colored sequins on it for ornaments. So I never even had done the stocking before. I mean, I've just never done any of this fancy stuff. So I'm learning this in front of you, and I want to be very clear about that I'm totally learning how to do this in front of you. So I'm having to figure it out and do it and then show you. I mean, I've got years of beading experience, yeah. I know how to put the sequins on, but I'd never done anything like this before. This was in my mind. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? I figured it out and did it. Is it great? Is it perfect? Oh, I'm sure there's people out there watching this that have even better ideas. Like if I had to do over again, I might have done a solid color blanket and done the beads in different colors. And I may yet do that. But it's the fun of learning. And then I love showing you what I've learned. But please understand, I'm learning this too. I appreciate when you guys give me compliments, but I'm truly learning this as I show it to you. I never did any of this stuff before. I'm very good at putting sequins on, yes. I've been doing that for 30 years. But I'd never done all this detail work before. So it's been fun. So let me show you the hooves. They're very, very, very easy. It's kind of like doing the blanket. Kind of. It's pretty close. So what you're going to do on here is you're going to find the where it's going to be flattest. And see what I'm saying, how much you can cut off? It just, I don't know why I didn't. I think on this one when I finish it I will. But you just go to where you think the best spot is. And then you're going to go back through, because here you definitely want to secure that. And then come back up as close to the bottom edge as you can. And you don't have to bead the whole thing. I did a pretty wide hoof on there, and you don't have to. But I just took, and I used the ones that I got from Beebeecraft. These really pretty white bugles. And I just put one on my needle, like this. And I started at the bottom, and I just lay it in like this. Here, like this. Just kind of lay it on there. Hold it with your finger and go through. Trying to hold it as straight as you can. And it should lay pretty straight. Then you're going to come up next to it. Remember, you want to come up slightly in front of it because you want to go through that let's see, this happens a lot. You're going to tangle on your sequins. And Cheryl Coyote, if you're watching, I know you hate that. My friend Cheryl Coyote, oh my gosh, if you have not come to me through Cheryl, please check out Cheryl Coyote. She is doing some hats right now that absolutely blew my mind. She crocheted them, and she crochets like owls and birds and little cute camper trailers. I ordered 3 from her. I fell totally in love. She did sunflower. Just amazing hats. Well, she did some ornaments too. And she said when she was doing her ornament video how she hates doing any kind of work over the sequins because they catch. So this one's for you, Cheryl. I know you hate that. But if you haven't found Cheryl Coyote, you really need to. She does some fun videos. But you're just going to keep doing that. And you're going to just keep adding them. And you're just going to, and like I said, don't worry if they're perfect. Please always, always, always keep in mind. Oh, I just spilt all my bugle beads. This is a handmade item. If somebody wants something perfect, they can buy it from China. You know what I mean? You can buy a manufactured piece and it's perfect. This is handmade. So it's not supposed to be perfect. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I've heard it many times in my life that American Indians would purposely put a flaw in their beadwork because they felt only God was perfect and that they couldn't make a perfect piece, that they'd have to purposely put like one green bead in the field of white or something to that effect because they didn't feel that they should try to be perfect. Well, I will never purposely flaw my piece, but I don't have to because there's going to be a mistake in pretty much every piece I make. It's just the way it goes. Okay, so here you go. I hope most of that was in frame. When I get to paying attention to what I'm doing, I don't always keep it in frame, but I think you got the gist of it, and I'll do the other foot just to make sure. And I'm trying very hard this time to stay in frame. The last video I did for you, I was exhausted. I'd had a cranky baby all day. I was so tired, and I just pulled it right out of the thing. That's okay. I might put a dot of glue on that one. And I was out of frame so bad that I only made it like a few minutes through the video, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot show people this. I mean, I was getting like tense watching it because it was so horrible. I cannot film when I'm tired because I make more mistakes. Today I feel good. I slept in. And my husband and I went to the farmer's market today and got some produce and bought these really amazing gluten-free like nut bars. I guess they were nuts and honey and stuff. So I want to learn to make something like that for us because they're very yummy, but $2.50 for two little tiny bars that big, I can't do that more than occasionally. I'd like to make something up like that to take to the hospital because they were very filling. Alright, so we'll do this again on the second leg, which is a little bit different shape than the first leg. But again, you're going to go down as low as you can on the foot. And then go back through again. You do want to keep that knot secure. Then come back up. And we're going to put, let me get another pinch of those bugle beads out. Because the felt, I'm going to tell you something about felt. If you use your hands a lot and they can be rough, which mine often can, I've started using Palmolive dishwashing liquid, and let me tell you something. Normally my hands would be really dry, and since I've been using Palmolive, it's gone away. I don't put lotion on my hands, but if you have dry hands, felt will stick to them. So you got to be careful because I set the bugle beads on the felt and caught it with my needle and poof, it all went. But I don't normally plug products, but I'm telling you, I was to the point my hands were cracking, like right along, blah, 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 I can't talk today, right along here and here. I would get cracks, and you can see a little bit of it, the old residual cracking, but it would get cracked and bleed all along the sides of my fingers. And boy, oh boy, I thought, you know, I'm going to try Palmolive. They say you can soak your fingers in it. Remember old Madge, or whatever her name was? Okay, so I put the first one on, which I just took it to the end and went through. Then you come back up right next to it. And then you're going to pick up another bugle bead. These are like a frosted white bead. And then what I do is I get it on there. And like I said, if you're new to this and uneasy, just basically hold it flat, pull it back. You can pull it back into place with your finger, hold it in place, like literally hold it down if you need to, and then go right at the end, go in and pull it. And then you're going to come up from the back side and just keep doing that. Sometimes your bugle beads will be cut a little bit angled, so I try to use the ones that are the more straight ones on stuff like this, but they're all going to have, very few bugle beads are perfect. They're always going to have some that are a little, so again, you can just take your finger and see how I just kind of pushed it. It's hard because it's so light, but I just took my finger and pushed it up into place, and then take the needle, make sure it's secure, and go back down. And you just keep doing that. And then when they're done, you tie them off. So obviously you're not going to sequin around those. So when you sequin this part of the body, you're going to, wherever the last strap was. So let's say your last bugle bead strap that you put on is right here. Like right to here or something. Then you're going to seed bead around that and go around this and all the way up around the tail, and then come down the side of the saddle, and then you can pull up this, and I actually went underneath, see, I just gently pulled it up and did that row, and then I came up and did this, so I went around the whole thing and then filled it in. The flower I put on the edge of the blanket, so it wasn't affecting any of this. I just added a flower on the blanket over the beadwork I already did. And you can do that or not if you want. I mean, you could technically put some of these flowers all over the blanket if you wanted to. There's so many things I would do different if I was starting this piece over today. It's funny because once you've done it, you're like, oh, I wish I'd done this and I wish I'd done that. Because I could have done the whole thing in flowers. I mean, there's so many things you could do. Then the last thing you're going to do after all of it's beaded is you got to stitch it together. And that I normally like to show you on a fully beaded piece, but we don't have that. So I'm going to show you on a piece that is not fully beaded. Let me tie this off so I can, did I finish that? I'm just going to leave that thread on there because I want to finish that. And we'll just put a new thread together. We'll take this one here. I'll just cut it off. This is the sample we just did. Let me tie a knot, and then I'll show you how to edge. The edging is super duper easy. I think I do have a video just on the edging. But I tried doing videos just showing you the new stuff and then not showing the whole tutorial and linking to the other, and people just didn't like that. They want the whole tutorial. So those of you that know all this, you know, I feel grateful that you are willing to watch them again and again. Because some of this is the same stuff for every video, for every ornament. But you're going to take your two pieces. You're going to take the one you just finished. You just got to imagine he's completely done. All done. You've beaded every possible piece of this. It's done. It looks like the front of this one. All done. All the beads and sequins are done. It's beautiful. You're happy with it. Then you're going to take your back piece and you're going to match them up. And I don't know if I told you this because I only recorded something 3 times. I think I did. I told you that I cut around the nose a little bit to make it longer because I did not like the squared off nose that the cookie cutter had. So once you get it all matched up, and remember the seed beads and sequins are going to pucker the felt up a little bit. So the best way to do it is really do the whole thing. Get the whole thing together as best you can. And you'll see that some parts might be a little puckered. Now I chose to start before the saddle so I could do the whole thing, then come around and do the different colors for the saddle. There's 2 different edgings you can do. I did the fancy edging on this little guy. Let me show you the fancy edging. This is it. This is what it looks like on the back. This is what it looks like on the front. There is a simpler edging, but I'm not going to do a tutorial on that today. If you want to do the simple one, I do believe there is a video that'll show you how to do it, but I'll kind of run over, I'll kind of tell you how to do it. The difference between them is really very, very slight. But you're going to go and you're going to put the 2 together and you're going to tuck your needle in between and come in right before for me right before the saddle. And again, you're going to come in. This one I technically really don't do the double stitch. I guess I should. But I come through and then I go to the back. So you're in the middle of the sandwich, you come out the middle, come out the front, then you're going to go to the back. You're going to go back through almost as close as you can to where you started. See? To make a loop. Right there. Okay? And now you're going to pick up 3 seed beads. And for this I used these white. Now I did a blog post. There'll be a link to my blog post under this video. And I think it's in my last video too. And in that blog post I listed all the materials in the shops. But anyway, you're going to pick up 3 seed beads. 3 of them. So you got 3 seed beads on your needle. Let's see if it shows up. 3. And you're going to go back around the whole thing again. Come from the back. You're going to go to the back. Come right back around like you just did. Oh, and it's catching again. Okay. All right. Now, you see how there's the first where you came in, and where you came out is on the back. You're going to go back to where you came out and go up to the bottom of that seed bead and pull it, and it'll make a little triangle. See? I'll show you. So now the same step for the other loops is you only put 2 after that first one. So again, to recap it, you make that circle, you put 3 seed beads on, go to the back, come around, and it has 3 seed beads on there. When you come up to the bottom of the very last one where you came out, you're going to go up through that one. Then you add 2 more seed beads, and you're going to do the same thing again. You're going to go through the back, and you're going to pull it around. You're going to go to that back one, to that very last sequin or seed bead, come up through it, and then it starts to make your triangular. Hope I was in frame. This is what happens. I'm going to put the camera facing down a little bit more. I'm going to do it again. Make sure I was in frame. So back to the back to the front, from the back to the front, which is how you do every one of these. You pull it, and then you're going to go to the back, find that first sequence. I keep saying sequence, seed bead. Go through the back of it, the bottom of it, and if you have to, sometimes it's a pain. You got to get underneath that first one, that last one. Now see how that's looped around the head there? Normally I have a much longer piece. You can just kind of pull it around like that, so that when you go through, you're not caught on the little head of the llama. And it just makes a little triangular. It's not going to show up real good till you get up the neck a little bit. So we'll do one more. Again, only put 3 on the first time to make your first triangle. Then after that, through the back, come in through the back, and keep checking them to make sure they're lined up too. Check from the back, pull it through to the front, and then that last one, you go back to the back, and like I said, if you have to for a while till you're used to it, totally turn it over like that. Find that little seed bead. You want to come up to the bottom of it. So where the thread's coming out the bottom, you want to go back up through there. If you try to do it through the top, you're going to end up with an upside down sequin or seed bead, and you got to come back out and redo it. And you'll start to build a little triangular, lacy looking edge. Let's see if I can get the camera to pick that up. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way around the whole piece, around the feet, and then when you get all the way back around and you're to your blanket, then you can decide, do you want to continue the white or do you want to do the colors that you used. Here I did the orange, the green, the pink, and the yellow. I used the same seed beads. So, and then to do your loop, this is a double. This is not a single loop. Sometimes on the angels I would just do like a giant loop. That's all twisted up, look at that. I just do one big loop. But on this one, oh, and I want to show you something you want to avoid happening. See on this one, I don't know if it'll, yeah, see? I didn't pull it tight enough. So I'm going to have to redo this loop. That is frustrating. So the biggest thing you need to do is when you're securing this is make sure you have the thread looped tightly on here before you go back through it to the bottom. That doesn't happen to me often, but it does once in a while. Now I'm going to use these gorgeous magnetic clasps that I got from Beebeecrafts. Where'd it go? I showed it to you. Oh my goodness, here it is. Okay. And you can use lobster claws. I did that before I discovered magnetic clasps. You can do lobster claws. You can do pretty much anything. Now, unfortunately, I have to go back to the original Llama to show you how to do this, because you really have to have a fully finished ruffle to do this. Okay? So to do this, you're simply going to get your thread, get yourself, okay, let me get a new piece of thread, and you're going to figure out how long you want the loop. Now, if I had to do this over again, I would have made this a lot longer. And I may yet cut it out and redo it. I haven't decided. But figure out how long you want your loop. And basically, you need over 4 times that length, because what you're going to do, let me show you on here. Okay, can you see that? You're going to come up through the beads, adding the beads as you come up. Loop through here a couple times and loop all the way back through your beads. Then you're going to go back down and you're going to come back up and do it again, matching this on the other side, looping it and coming back through the beads. That is what we're going to be doing. So I'm only going to do one side, because to do the other side is really easy. And really, just that instruction's probably enough, but I'm still going to show you how to do it. So once you get your knot and get your needle threaded, which sometimes can be the most daunting part of this whole process, that's why I buy the bigger needles, so they have a little bit bigger head. A couple people have asked me, well, why do you like size 10? Well, because they have a bigger head on them. And I think my 59-year-old eyes don't see that hole as easily as my 20-something-year-old eyes did. And sometimes takes me a couple of minutes. I'm having a heck of a time getting this threaded today. You can probably hear Max. He's right outside my door this time. No, Max! He's going to be loud. I do apologize. Max is a force to be reckoned with. You cannot stop him once he starts yelling. He is a very social little creature, and he just wants to be in here with me. Okay, I'm not getting this threaded. Hold on. It's a busy day around this house. My son and husband took down a picket fence today because we've owned this house 17 years, and we've had a picket fence around it for 17 years. And the house next to us is on a corner. And the house faces our street, the street we face. But legally, the house faces the other street on the corner. And the lady that lived in that house lived in there her whole life. It was her husband, or most of her life. Her husband inherited it from his parents, and had been in their family since 1800s. And she was fine with the picket fence. Well, some new people from down in Houston bought the house, and they put a 6-foot fence along the side of our property, blocking our entire view from our front porch that we loved, and left our picket fence just hanging there. So it looks stupid having a picket. Okay, I'm not able to hook this on today. My hands are so bad. Hold on, I'm not going to make you wait any longer. I've been yakking away while I'm trying to thread this. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyway, so they put this 6-foot fence up, and of course they put the ugly side toward our yard because They want the pretty side on their yard, which I can understand that. But they're taking down the picket because it looks stupid to have a picket fence and then 6 inches behind it a 6-foot fence, and then stuff grows in between it. And we do have 6 panels on the front and side of our property that need to be replaced. So they're just going to use those panels to replace the parts we were getting ready to replace. He just wants to get some of this wrapped up so when he's home from surgery he doesn't have it hanging over his head. Alright, so we're going to pretend the loop isn't on there, and so that's why if you hear drilling sounds, they're using the drill to use, he puts them all on with L brackets. So you're going to hear some probably mechanical noise. But what I do is I find an area that I like how it hangs. So, you know, we're just going to pretend that we like how it hangs in the middle here. And then you come up. Remember, when you do the loop, you're going to have a base bead, a pointy bead, you know, the top of the triangle, and a base bead. You pick a base bead and you come up through that base bead. And then you're going to add whatever you want to add. Now, I used these little white, or not white, but clear, iridescent beads from Beebeecrafts. I thought these were really cute, would give it a little sparkle. And then I used the different colored seed beads. But for this one, because I don't want to make you wait while I get a bunch more materials together, I'm going to keep it simple, and just because I think if I had it to do over again, I would have done all white. So I'm not really happy with how that turned out. So we're caught on the sequins again. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is just make it the length we want it. So I'm going to show you to start. I'll turn off the camera and then come back. So I'm going to pick up a bugle bead, pick up a seed bead, pick up, and I try to get the straighter ones for this because you want it to hang as, some of these little chopped bugle beads can be a little angled. So you're going to want to get the straightest ones you can, string them on, and then pull them down. And you can do this in the different colors. You can pick a color. You can use bugle beads or not, but I just want to use these really pretty sparkly bugle beads. But like I said, I'm doing white, so put a few more on your needle. You can put quite a few on these beading needles. And you're just going to keep doing this till you get it the length you want it. And see, it goes pretty fast. I've already got that much on there. And then just keep track, because if you get distracted, you could start putting the wrong bead on and then all of a sudden look down and you got either 2 seed beads or 2 bugle beads in a row. And then you're like, oh no, and you have to pull it all off, and then it's irritating. In fact, I think I did that on the, I don't think I did it on this one. I think on the first tutorial I did that I took apart, that I took down, and or that I erased, I did that. I had 2 bugle beads in a row. That was what I'm like, oh no. It's pretty easy to do, but if you stay focused, and then before you finish, like before you loop it around the hook, just make sure, because then you can still just pull the beads off. It's really easy to pull them off. So I'm going to go that long for now. But you can do it as long as you want, okay? But I want to show you how to do this. So once you get it to the lengths you want, you're going to take your clasp, whichever clasp, whether it be magnetic. If it's a lobster claw, you do it slightly different. But with these magnetic, you're just going to keep the 2 hooked. You're going to go through and pull it down right as close to the beads as you can and pull it tight. And then I go back through again and I pull it as tight. Oh, that scared me. The other magnet pulled off. Okay. I guess don't hold on to both. That didn't happen before. So you're going to get it as tight as you can. Okay. And then you're going to go back down through your seed beads and sequins. So basically you're going to, see, the problem is I have another clasp on there and it's being attracted to it. Normally you wouldn't have that issue. Oh, darn it. That pulled it. Darn. See that? it pulled it so tightly that way. Okay, there we go. Okay. So you're going to get it tight, and then you're going to take your needle. That's why you use beading needles, because they're thinner and you can go back through the seed beads more than once. And you're going to start going back through. And you're just going to pay attention, because if you're not paying attention, you can find that you got all the way to the bottom and your string was on the outside of a bead. So you want to do a few at a time, but you want to keep pulling it tight too. So you're going to want to keep pulling that down, which is a pain. You can kind of pull on the beads a little bit. You want to keep that as taut as you can. That's why I use beading thread, because it'll take a lot of tugging. Okay, so you just keep tugging at it. I will warn you, it gets, well, when you do the second one, as long as you have the two hooked together, it'll be fine. My problem is I have the original clasp on here, and these are such strong magnets, they're really trying to get to each other. You're just going to keep going down through the seed beads and the bugle beads. So you're going to do maybe another little chunk like that, and pull it again. And keep that thread off the neck. I bet you my friend Cheryl Coyote's laughing at me right now. Okay. And see, I've kept it really tight. Now you've just got the last few to go through. All right. And pay attention, because sometimes it's hard to see where one's coming. You know, see, it's coming out from that pearl bead, pearl-looking seed bead, and you're going to go down and just make sure. Then you're going to come back through that same seed bead on the base that you went out on. But you want to make sure you also grab a little felt. So back it up a couple times so you can come through and actually grab a little felt. Okay. And again, watch that you don't grab the head of the llama. And then go back and look at it, and it should be tight like that, where it's literally pulling the clasp sideways. Then what I do is I tie a little bit of one of those knots I showed you, where I go through it a few times. And it won't be as complicated for you because you won't have that thing in your way. But I felt it was easier to show you on the actual piece. And see, I used to do 3 or 4 stages of these ornaments so I could do the tutorial or easier, but I just can't get that many done in a week. It's just too hard. Because each one, if I do a whole front, if I do a whole ornament to show you a finished one, that's about 6 hours to 8 hours. And then if I do the whole front of one, that could be another few hours. And then if I just do this stage, I could have 10, 12 hours into the different stages, and then I still have to record. Now, you don't have to do the up and down thing because you're going to be going right back through. All right, so let me get this other clasp. I think I'm going to do this is hook it around his neck to get it out of the way. Okay. Now, you're just going to do, to do the other side, you're just going to do the same thing. But you're going to go up the next, like you came through this one, now you're going to go through the next base bead. The next one to the one you just used. Come up through that one, and then you're going to do the same thing. But what I do when I do that is I hook it. And I go up and make sure it matches. And then do the same thing, hook through it twice, come back through, and tie it off. I'm not going to do that whole thing today. Real easy, and like all my other ornament videos will show this step as well. So, but anyway, and then when you're done, you will have a clasp that looks, hold on, it's really humorous, they're fighting each other. You'll have a clasp that looks somewhat like this in whatever colors you choose. And you can make this as long as you want. This hangs okay, but I probably would have done it a little longer than his head if I had it to do over again. I hadn't done an ornament in almost a month. So anyway, that is how you do him. And if you do the edge in the same color as the felt, you will not see it. So if you use white thread on white, or red thread on red, or green thread on green, you won't see it on the back. So when you tie your knots, so they'll be there. I mean, you'll still see them, but they won't stand out as bad. So that's something to think about too. But this is our little llama. This was probably longer than I still wanted to make it. I hope I was in frame the whole time. I really tried hard. But I'm going to tell you right now that every step I did on this, except for these little steps here, but all the beadwork part and the loop part, they're on pretty much every ornament I've done. So if you're going to be watching any of my other ornament videos, you will see the edging, you will see how to put the sequins on. I did a cardinal that has a little bit of your bugle bead work in it too. And I've got a couple other projects coming up with bugle beads. But I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry it took me so long. I've really been stressing the last couple weeks, and I know a lot of it's the surgery too. But I'm going to do the best I can to keep up, but you know, we'll see. The surgeries, I've got 2 weeks until the surgery, so I'll probably be able to get a few more videos out. And the 12th through the maybe 15th or 16th, unless I get something made up, which I may get a couple videos made up and have those ready and set, and you can actually set them to come on a set day. So I may make up a couple videos to come on during that week that he has surgery, in case I can't get on here for a week. So I may try to do that. I've got a couple projects I want to do. I'm toying with doing the bumblebee next. I've got some cute ideas for him. And that could be a bumblebee or a butterfly or moth, but it looks more like with a pointed bottom that's a bumblebee. So I've got some ideas for him, and I've got some ideas for the arrow. And then I was asked to do a hummingbird by my best friend. So I wanted to do that for kind of a housewarming gift for her. And she doesn't watch my channel, so I'm not worried about her hearing that. Hoping one of these days she'll get on there. And if she did, okay, Lori, surprise. Well, she knows I'm making it, so. But these are the next 3 projects I will be doing. I wanted to start Christmas in July, but it may be more toward the end of July, I'll be honest with you. We'll see. I won't be babysitting the first 2 or 3 weeks after he has surgery, so I may have a lot more time because, you know, he's not going to need that much help, just a little bit. He's very independent, so he's going to want to do stuff on his own. But I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back very soon. We're almost to the 1st, so we'll be getting the 2 bead boxes again, and I'm behind on those, but it might just be we're doing the unboxing, and down the line sometime when we have a little spare time, I'll start doing some of the projects with the boxes. So I thank you so much. I'm glad I finally got this little tutorial done. If it's not perfectly in frame, I do apologize. I really did try. I think I've got a better system set up than I had, but I still got some work to do. I need to get a better camera tripod set up. So we'll figure it out. But I hope you enjoy him. I hope you try him. If you go to my blog, which will be posted below, all the materials are there and lots of pictures so that you can see all the pieces and parts and everything I used, and lots of detailed pictures of the llama itself. So I thank you so much, and I'm going to go upload this and try to get this up on YouTube, and then it'll take me about 3 hours to get it up there. But I'm going to try to get it up there in the next 2 or 3 hours. It just depends on how long the finished piece is and how long it takes to stitch it all together, edit it, and get it up there for you. But it will be up today. Today is Saturday. And right now we're looking at, I think, about 11:30. So hopefully by 1 or 2 this afternoon I'll have that video up. So, and if you're seeing this much later than that, then it took me a little longer than I figured. But I will get it up as fast as I can. So I'll talk to you soon. And as always, please like the video if you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, I would honestly be honored if you'd subscribe and give me a chance. And I will be back soon. Bye.